But in any case, I've got Mike Decker with me, somebody who most of our staff knows very, very well. How long have you been in the business, Mike?
Do I have to date myself? A few decades.
A long time. A long time. And we have relied on your expertise and the products of your company ever since, I think we practically from the beginning. And my understanding is that Diablo Controls has more experience in the traffic, access control, and what was the other industry? Parking industry, and on the vehicle detection side than any other company by a long shot.
Good morning, all, and I appreciate the time you're spending with me this morning. And the purpose of this is we want to, through the month of November for the promotion, we want to promote the unique things that our detectors have the ability of doing now. And one of the biggest ones is that it will work with an inductive loop or a free exit probe. And the power that the detector is drawing now is all of the new ones are less than a milliamp. So they're prime for either solar or powered operators. Some of the advantages of these detectors, a series of detectors, is that it's dip switch selectable between a probe and a loop. It's all you have to do is turn it on or turn it off, depending upon if you have a loop or a probe. And then it helps limit the number of detectors that a tech or an installer needs to carry. He's got a detector that'll do dual purpose. And then, of course, we pride ourselves on customer support. We very much pride ourselves on the ability of helping someone and staying with them through the entire course and making sure that the system's running by the time we get off the phone with them. And then we have the 5-year new product replacement warranty. In other words, if you've got a customer that's got a bad detector, he brings it into you and you replace it with new product, you call us and we send you a new one. Or better yet, you use the support at Diablo Controls Avenue. And then this product, especially the probe, has got such a great track record. We've manufactured that probe for 10 years and we sell thousands of them. And it's just proven. And one thing unique about it is the probe has no electronics in it. So that's a big factor in its reliability. The probe comes in either a 75 or 100-foot lead-in. Now, we can go longer up to 200 feet with the lead-in cable. The only problem with that, or situation thereof, is that it's a special manufacturing run. So it takes us a couple of weeks or a few weeks to get that out to you. But we can go up to 200 feet. Here's the first detector that we have. It's the XLP8. And you'll notice the arrows pointing down to dip switch number 2. That represents when that's turned on, you're in the free exit probe mode. And this detector also draws less than a milliamp. And you'll notice that you're familiar with the 6 and 7s and the 9. It's the same package, except for it does have the dip switch selectable and also the sensitivity modes. It gives me the advantage of with all of the detectors now that work with a probe or a loop, I can adjust the sensitivity. So if I need to reach out a little bit further for someone who's trying to shoot from the side of the road, which is one method, and the product was actually designed to be vertical in the center of the roadway. The next series is our
Mike,
DSP.
Can I ask you a question about that for a second?
Sure.
So on that probe, does that only work with your vehicle detector, or if somebody has, it only works with yours? Okay, got it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and it's critical that, I mean, some of our tech calls that come in, especially new users, don't realize that they have to flip that dip switch. And what happens is the detector will operate for a week, 2 weeks, but eventually it'll lock up. So one of the important things too on our detectors is we use the green LED, the power LED, for diagnostics. So this is the single channel and dual channel dorking compatible detector. And again, selectable loop or probe by the arrows that you see on the screen here. Our next one is the Liftmaster compatible detector. Not sure why it does that. And it too, you'll notice that dip switch number 3 needs to be turned on for the probe. And just to show you that the connector is the same on the backside of the detector. The only thing that must be done with the 19 is on the top of the detector, you'll see that green connector. And that green connector is where the output comes out. So you correlate the loop input to the slot you're putting it into the rack, and then you wire the output of whatever function you need it to be. And there'll be a printout of this wiring in each one of the literature packets that you'll be receiving. You'll be receiving product from Crystal Lake, and then you'll be receiving literature from me with some acrylic stands for the literature.
Mike, so so far you've got 2 compatible products with other manufacturers, gate operators.
Correct.
Both of those companies that we've talked about so far have their own vehicle detectors. Why and under what circumstances is it advisable for a dealer to consider a Diablo detector versus the manufacturer's detector?
Okay, cost is the main thing. There is a big price difference between the dorking detectors, significant price difference. And then the Liftmaster detector, same thing. It is less expensive.
What about power? Is there a difference in power usage?
I'm not sure what the dorking detector draws, but the dorking detector and the 19 and the XLP8 and the others draw less than a milliamp.
And on the Liftmaster,
definitely the Diablo has a longer warranty than the Dorking and the Liftmaster, so that would be another advantage. And then I know for us, the Liftmaster, being that you wire that to another spot on the board, I know that Liftmaster has on their safety input, whether it's a photo eye block or a safety loop that's blocked for more than 3 minutes, it'll lock the gates open to where you have to do like a hard reset to it. Where when you use the Diablo detector that plugs in and you wire it to the other spot on the board, it doesn't process through the board the same way, so it won't lock the gates open if someone sits on the loop for more than 3 minutes.
and isn't there also an advantage on the Liftmaster side in power usage, Mike?
Yeah, again, we have the ability, a lot of the residential applications simply use a free exit loop and photo eyes. They don't have inside and outside safeties or a shadow. And so having the ability of using something that's low power, we're talking about less than a milliamp, and then being able to use a probe is a win-win for the installer, because instead of putting in a loop, he can simply use a single saw cut with 1 1/4 inch core, 6 or 8 inches down, drops that probe in that hole, and seals up and runs the lead into the side, and you're in business. So instead of cutting a loop, you're selling a package basically too.
Can you also elaborate more about putting the probe on the side? We've had a lot of success with installers putting them on the side, but they just don't want to do that saw cut core drill.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna add some an application drawing on how to do the probe from the side of the road, and that's a good point, because the detection area comes out both ends of the probe. So you have to aim the probe at a 45-degree angle, perpendicular to travel. So you'd be like pointing the end of it at the windows of a vehicle. Now, you want to get it to as close to the side of that road as possible, because if you back off too far, you're limiting your detection zone. But again, if you need to move it out a little bit further, the detection zone, that's where the sensitivity adjustment comes into play.
We had one customer that they had heavy granite out there out in the field, and
I'm sure you're all familiar with this detector. It's been around for a while. And again, a lot of the platform for the detectors that we have now came from this platform and the DSP-10. So this gives you a lot more latitude. Take Max. Max uses the B output of the detector, and they're the only real manufacturer that utilizes that B output, and they utilize it for a detector fault or a loop fault. But the only difference is when you use a Max operator or using the 55 on a Max operator, you have to turn dip switches 5 and 6 on. And the reason for that is our B output is inverted of what they need. So when you turn on dip switches 5 and 6, it's now compatible with their system. The B output's used a lot in the parking world for pulse on entry and pulse on exit for barrier arms. The XLP5, just like the 19, it's configured the same way. It has that special connector on it for the all-automatic new rack. And again, another detector that you can use with a loop or a probe. Functions just like the one that they're private labeling now. So we're hoping within the next 6 weeks, we're out of production with this detector. Here's another avenue, another detector. Now, this is not a low power detector either. I mean, we're drawing about 17, 18 milliamps with this detector. Doesn't sound like a lot, but over a period of time. But most people who are using this detector are running it in a powered location and not a solar location.
Can you also elaborate how amazing that detector is? Because it has 2 relays on it for one. And then it also, I mean, I've used that detector with so many customers that have loops that are marginal where they keep on getting, the loop's about ready to be replaced, but they're trying to limp it along a little bit longer. And I mean, there was one site at AGS where I know that it was a military site down in San Diego, and they had put in multiple different detectors and kept on getting these faults. And that AGS was about ready to spend like $300 on some EDI custom loop detector that they could fine tune and really tune it in. And we put the DSP-10 on there, and it kept that loop going. That was like 4 years ago. Still haven't heard anything from that job site.
Yeah, you know what? The 55 and the 10 have got basically the same hardware and firmware in the detector, and that's what we built on. So all of the other detectors that you saw are built off of this platform. The reason we can work with loops that are marginal is because engineering figured out a way to allow those tolerances to drop below. I've seen loops that meg out at like 30 mega ohms to ground when 100 mega ohms to ground is what you want to be looking for. And I've seen it go all the way down to 30 and still function, which buys them a little time. And then the other impact is not just the loop itself, but the environment. There could be things in the air, especially at a military base, that, because it loops an antenna. And all we're doing is utilizing that, and we filter out, engineering has figured out a way to filter out a lot of the environmental stuff that has plagued us for years. We make the high security detector, we make a Ramset detector, we make an Eagle detector, all private label. Those are in addition to what you're seeing here, but those are strictly sold to them direct. The high security detector is a detector on another level with the ability of what it can do. I mean, it has a built-in signature collector. It has, diagnostics and some really good things built into it that we designed for them. Now, some of your offices have already gotten a demo kit to get into we're calling it a field evaluation. But we think we've got it nailed. We really had a problem with the 13. The 13 was a detector that we hemorrhaged money for a long time and tried to get it right. Well, in the course of that, the founder of Diablo Controls actually was the guy that patented the ability to power the sensor and talk to it on the same pair of wires. And when he passed away, the knowledge went with him. And engineering struggled for a long time, as you well know. And we had egg on our face. But one thing that we tried to do was we understand that, time's money to these guys. So we tried to compensate people with product or credit or whatever we could do to make them whole, because we understood that we don't want to be a problem. We want you to put it in and forget it. So on the front of the 14 Master that's on the left there, you'll see where it says sensor. And we've actually, the cable is color coded and there's 4 wires. So you have the red and the white wire and the black and the green wire. The black and the green are actually communication, and white and red are power. So it's kind of nice that we color coded the label so that there's no guesswork on where that wire that from the sensor is coming from. So the cable is not black as in this picture from the sensor, it's yellow, easily identifiable that it's not a loop, it's our probe. And it has, again, 4 wires with a drain wire too. You want to make sure that drain wire, just like the free exit probe, that drain wire needs to be tied to chassis ground somewhere. It doesn't matter where, because if you don't, that wire, that drain wire becomes a capacitor and can cause you all kinds of grief. So it just falls back to, on anything that you're communicating with, you've got a drain wire, terminated. It doesn't matter what it is. That drain wire is there for a reason. Now, we're looking at probably mid-December when we come out of production with this. Again, we got a couple of parts that we're waiting for that are sitting on a container ship outside of Los Angeles. It'll come in a 75 and 100-foot length. What's really neat about this is I actually have had one in test in my driveway for over a year now, and I've got 500 feet of lead-in cable on that, and it hasn't skipped a beat. It's been rock solid. I haven't had any failures whatsoever in a year with it. So I'm feeling really confident about it. The confidence level increases day by day as we, especially since we've gotten so many out in the field across the nation for field evaluation. The people I've talked to have had just great success with it so far.
So besides the saw cut, the single saw cut, what's the benefit of using a probe, this probe versus a loop?
Time and money. So we did a little analysis with a group, an installer that put in an inside and outside safety and a free exit loop. 2 guys, truck in, truck out, 2.5 hours. They, as an example, when they put a 13 in, and this was when we were selling the 13, which the 14's the same model. It was a 45 minutes, 2 guys in, truck out. So you're talking about labor cost, you're talking about saw blades, sealant, wire, and what it gives you the ability of doing is selling a detection system.
What about performance and reliability by comparison with a loop?
Well, mean time between failure is forecasted at 10 years. Now, I know loops that have been in 20 years. If they're done correctly, they'll work for 20 years. This is a little different. This is non-intrusive. It can be used in places where they're having problems, with asphalt that's breaking up or concrete that's breaking up. And also, it doesn't matter how this goes in the ground. On new installations, they're running conduit parallel to the road surface and then slipping the probe in there. And if they ever have a problem where they need to retrieve it, they can easily get to it. On existing locations, especially problematic ones that have, road surface issues, this thing does a great job. in providing accurate detection. Now, being true presence means that just that. A detector, a loop detector, if you park a vehicle on the loop and the detector is powered down and powered back up again, it does not see that vehicle. Now, the vehicle has to move ever so slightly and the detector will see it and activate. This is not the case. This, you can power it down and leave it powered down for a couple of days and leave a vehicle sitting there. And when you power it up, it knows that vehicle's still there. During testing, I actually left on a business trip for 10 days and parked my car on it. It held presence the entire 10 days, never dropped the call. I came home and power cycled it. It remembered the car was still there. And as soon as I pulled my car off of it, it dropped the call. So it is truly true presence. And this, the detection area is going to be just like the 13. It's going to be based on a sensitivity level, where at 0, we're right on in a diagnostics mode. When we go to 1, we actually are right on top of that sensor. And as we migrate up in sensitivity, we're moving out an average of a foot. So you could end up at, sensitivity 9 with a 16-foot detection area. Now, the one thing I failed to point out is that if you have a situation where the roadway is really wide and they need a second probe, you can put a second probe, the free exit probe, on the detector, but you want to wire it in series, just like you would a loop. The 14, on the other hand, it's one sensor, one master. So I'm really excited about this, because this is kind of a game changer where you could actually, with the real estate inside of an operator becoming a premium, it's a nice little package where you could take the XLP8 and use the free exit probe, and then 2 14s to handle your safety or shadow. And you're now selling a package, and it fits nicely in most operators.
What about replacing a presence loop with a presence detection probe like the 14?
That would be more common because of, like Mike was saying, we get tons of applications where they had loops, the asphalt has gone bad, the community or complex or wherever it is doesn't want to spend the money at the time to replace all the pavement, and it's at the road closure, and they all the complications that come with it, where they could go out and slam this in pretty quick, have a quick downtime, and have them back up and running and operational at a fraction of the cost what they would cost to come resaw cut new loops, repave everything. So I mean, it's kind of gets them working back up and running as a quick fix for something that could be a big huge project for that community or site.
Okay.
Yeah, one thing to note is that excuse me, that when you're replacing a loop with a bad loop, you need to cut that bad loop in 2 spots. With this technology, it doesn't even know the loop's there. The only thing is, you're probably going to be putting that sensor somewhere near the center of the loop. And so when that lead in comes to the side of the road, you're going to be cutting across those old loop wires. So what I tell guys is, take a cold chisel and push those loop wires back in the saw cut. So if the asphalt migrates back together, it's not going to pinch or damage the lead in for the 14 sensor.
So one of the things that I want to reinforce is that, in my experience in this business, you use the term "we made them whole." I think that's, as we're contemplating, people considering the DSP-14, maybe some of them have had some experience with a 13 that wasn't all that great, or they heard about it, and what is it, twice burned, 3 times shy, something like that. It's hard to get people over that kind of thing. The idea of a manufacturer, paying for more than the product that they're going to replace in a situation where they get an RMA or what have you, is really very, very unusual. And it's one of the things, Mike, that you've really stressed is that you guys really are there for the dealers.
I can vouch for that as well. I know that me and Mike got through some tough situations with some of those scenarios with the DSP 13, but I can say that 100% Mike stepped up and supported the customer, gave them what material they needed to get them working. And he pulled a lot of guys through getting them back up and running when there was they didn't have a solution at the time for the DSP 13, and they did pull through and made it right 100% to where, customers did feel like, okay, they understand it was a bad product. We appreciate them acknowledging it. That was awesome that they came through. This is unlike any other manufacturer we dealt with, and not only that, but I know how much support Mike has given me just in general with when I'm stuck on a loop site and I'm stumped and I don't know what to do. I've leaned on him many a times to get me through and get the customer up and running, which is rare. Any time of the day he's been available, even after hours, he'll answer his phone for me. But it's really a rare thing to have with a manufacturer like that that's going to go that far for you and help you out.
We have today Lisa Lowe and Luis Gutierrez with All-O-Matic, and we're lucky to be able to spend some time with them today, get an overview of their products, the time in the market, the things that really stand out competitively with other gate operator brands, why people should be considering All-O-Matic, why our dealers should be considering All-O-Matic under at least some circumstances, and maybe sometimes under all circumstances. Anyway, Luis, take it away.
Okay, I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Hello, everyone. Like Richard said, my name is Luis Gutierrez. I've been with All-O-Matic for about 17 years now. So I've seen All-O-Matic grow from a few models of operators that we had. I think it was only 3, now to over 20 models of operators. So we've grown tremendously over the years and became one of the leaders in the automatic gate operators. Like you can see here, we've been around since 1992. We've been one of the longest standing manufacturers throughout the years. We strive and pride ourselves in the best customer service and quality of products, which is the same values that we share with Gates and Controls. So the last few years, we expanded our sales force. For a long time, it was only me. So now we have 4 sales guys. And just to give you a little overview of who we have, I handle the West Coast. So I handle all the Northwest, all the way down to San Diego. Brian Boutte is out of Louisiana. He handles the Midwest. We have Paul Vandresky. He is out of Houston. And we have Sean Lawley out of Charlotte. He handles our East Coast sales. And a lot of these guys that we have have been in the industry for many years, have worked for other manufacturers and own their own distribution. So we have a great experienced staff on our sales side and also in the office. So it'll be a great asset to all of you guys. One of the new things that we're working on right now is our new DC board. It's going to be a full LDC display with access to programming for all the functions. You can still have access to programming the board if you're used to using the old style, the way the board is now, but we're advancing with technology. So we are going to offer also a USB port on there to download any transactions or any fails that you want to view on either a laptop or on your phone. And also you can be able to do a firmware updates or upgrades on the spot. So this will help out a lot with the techs out in the field to troubleshoot on the field and not have to send in the board back for repairs. So this will help a lot out on the field in a lot of time. So that's coming up soon. Also, our new Toro. The new Toro is now fully available. That's the only one we have available now. Our old Toro, we've finally sold out of everything. So this Toro is our pride and joy because we actually make it in-house. So it's now available and it's our official actuator. Also, that's new in all our operators except the SL45 is a new loop rack. This loop rack is made more environmentally safe, or it protects it from moisture, rats that run across the board sometimes, and with their with what rats leave behind. This thing is more, this loop rack is protected. As you can see, it has little rubber grommets on the inputs. You take those out and you plug in your loop detector. And the loop detector is made exclusively by North Star for us. So we are the only ones that have this loop detector available. So all our DC line, this is the detector that you would want. It's very easy, and the way the connector is made, it doesn't rattle or vibrate with the running of the operator itself. So it's very a lot better than the one we had before. So it's a plug and play type of a loop detector and loop rack. So you'll see these in all our big models on our AC and DC side.
Before you go on, Luis, I wanted to ask you a question about or not ask you a question, but emphasize the fact that one of the things that dealers oftentimes are very concerned about in buying their operators is, where is it made?
They're all made in the United States, a USA made, and we also have the paperwork to back it up. So if your dealers are in the bidding process, and in the bidding process, they exclusively ask for US made products, we have the official paperwork that goes along with the operator to show that it's US made.
Excellent.
So we also have, I know the app is becoming such a popular thing for everything. So this is what we have in the meantime. We're developing one, but it does take a lot of time because communication, connectivity is moving so fast. So we haven't been able to lock one good type of communication between the app and the operator. But in the meantime, we're using this one. It's called Next. It comes already set with a manual to be able to hook it up to our operator, because it has to go through the closed limit switch to show the status of the gate, if it's open, closed, so the homeowner will know if its gate's open, closed, or and he can close it from anywhere in the world. So it also you can also use Lisa, you also use more codes, or you can pass the app on to other people in your home, right? Up to 10 people?
Right, so you can do it all through email. And I just want to make a note on this picture. So if you buy the Next from us, we actually don't include that small sensor. So the little small box to the right of the controller.
Oh, okay.
What we do is we have them make a second harness so that you can wire straight to the limit switch versus having this sensor that you have to put on the gate or anything like that. So that's going to be a little bit of a difference when you order it directly from us. Ordering it online or via Next, it'll also work. It's just a little bit different.
Was it?
And we do include, like Luis mentioned, we do include a little pamphlet inside on how to wire it to an All-O-Matic operator. You could use it on any operator in theory, but that has limits. But we do include it when you get it from us.
So this will allow a homeowner or commercial operation, whatever, to the app will work with multiple gates, basically.
Yes, you can set up multiple gates and give permission to multiple people.
Okay. Approximately
but there's
when?
no, I want to be clear, there's no like hold open feature or anything like that. It's basically going to tell you is the gate open or closed and allow you to open or close it. So it's pretty simplified in that respect.
Yeah. And so also at All-O-Matic, we're always looking for suggestions. A lot of the improvements that we've made on our operator are because of dealers suggesting we should do this, do that. And we have been able to implement those changes in a timely manner because everything is in-house. And one of the things that makes us different, years ago, is that we decided to use brushless motors in our gate operators. At the beginning, we didn't know what brushless operator was. We knew what a brushed one was. But with working with brushless motors, we found out that it's used quite a bit on commercial aircraft, military. They use also brushless motors inside of medical facilities where they can't have any RF or anything sparking, because when a brush motor sparks. So if you remember the old days when you would play with your hand drill, you would see little sparks inside the vent. That's a brush being used on the rotor. So we decided to go brushless. At the beginning, we did find out it was kind of expensive to use, and you do have to use a dedicated motor controller to run the motor. So with that in mind, Fortino went to work and developed a new DC motor controller. which means we decided to make our own. So that's why we only have one board. Right out the gate, we started off with one board when we started making our brushless motors. A lot of manufacturers have started with two, and some of them have figured it out and now went from two to one. Some still use two of them, but with a off the rack motor controller, you're limiting your motor or you're limiting that gate operator to do its full potential. So with us making our own motor controller on our own board, we've been able to open the throttle to say on our gate operators, and we were able to handle bigger gates, wind loads. And with the history or the way brushless motors or DC motors, both of them, they all have pulse with modulation. So which means all DC motors have a soft start and soft stop. That's the way they work. All DC motors have to ramp up with power to get them going. Versus AC motors, all you do is put power to them and they start running right away. So that's the difference between an AC and a DC. Depending on the use of the operator, they're changing brushes maybe after a year and a half. So an old company called DC Solutions, they were changing brushes on commercial jobs, maybe after 6 to 8 months, they're already changing out brushes because it's worn out. And plus, when the brush wears out, it turns into a dust. And so with mornings like today, with the moisture, that dust turns into little rocks. So we had a lot of noise, a lot of maintenance on a brush motor.
Let's talk briefly about supply chain issues. Everybody's concerned about that at this point, and every manufacturer is experiencing it. How is that affecting you, and what should dealers be concerned about as far as what might be on the horizon?
You know what? I did have a meeting with on Monday with at the office, and as of right now, Lisa can also confirm, or we haven't had any shortages at all. Maybe a few wheels because they were stuck on ships in San Pedro, but we do have a stream of stuff coming in as we speak. So things are coming in every day. So as far as shortages, we haven't had any shortages where we've never had any back orders on any operator as of right now.
The owner here likes to keep at a minimum 6 months to a year of inventory. So that's not going to change. So we're just doing our best to kind of stay on top of that and have that moving forward as well.
Congratulations. You're alone. I'd say that you're almost alone as far as not experiencing much supply chain, interruptions. Congratulations. Good job.
We saw that at the beginning of COVID too, when none of the manufacturers knew what to do. We didn't know what to do. Because we keep so much inventory and because we didn't shut down, we saw that. Our supply never stopped or halted. We were never back ordered. And so a lot of people that needed things in a pinch or in a hurry were trying us out and turning and we're able to convert some. So that's positive for us.
Yep.
Is it okay if I answer that, Luis? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So once we get a PO, we do our best to ship the same day. Granted that it's before noon, right? So especially UPS orders, things smaller like that, most times, I'd say 90% of the time, we're going to get it out that same day. If we have just, typical end of month stuff where it's just backlogged and it might ship the next day, but that would be worst case. We also try to do a good job, Fernando and myself. When we get the POs, we try to be transparent about when is it shipping. Is it shipping out today? Is it shipping out tomorrow? So I know we both try to acknowledge that we've received the PO and also let you know when it's shipping.
That's excellent. Parts and accessories, same kind of delivery schedule?
Same thing.
Yeah. And
Good job.
same thing, I'll touch also like on repair boards and things like that. We do our best to get them out within a day or two. It's very rare that it goes any longer than that. So we do try, we understand a lot of us, myself installed, you can't wait a week to get a part. So you gotta have to get on it and we try to respect that and keep in line with that. RMAs, repair and return advanced replacements, I'd say we're kind of the most lenient in the industry compared to other manufacturers. What we do ask is that for advanced replacements, we do them within the first 2 years. So that's a good marker for people to know. The conditions is that we ask the technician call us from the job site speak to our tech support, and if we deem it defective, then we will give them an RMA number to give to the distributor. So they'll provide that RMA number to Gates and Controls. Gates and Controls will in turn send Fernando a PO with that RMA number on it. Same situation. As long as we get it before 1 o'clock, I make sure that it ships that same day. If it comes after that, we ship it the next day.
And also on that note, board repairs, we don't charge for board repairs.
Oh,
So
excellent.
we're still the only manufacturer, I think the only manufacturer that still repairs, and we don't charge. Going back to the picture, this just shows an example of what a motor controller looks like. That if we would add a one off the shelf, but we engineered our own, which was a feat in itself to do. And here's an example of what our DC board looks like. And also we're at the forefront of UL 325. We're updated to 2018, which is the latest version. I know Gates Controls is also at the forefront of UL. Sean is on many committees that's pushing UL. So we're there with UL. We're normally closed on the UL. So on our sliders, you need 2 monitor devices. Swingers, you need 1. Our overheads, you need 1 device. So our overheads work just like a swinger with 1 monitor device on the closed side. Here are some of the advantages of using our own motor controller. It allows us to do bigger gates, uphill gates, and gates that are in a high wind area. That being all said, we're proud to say that we're the pioneers in using a brushless motor inside a gate operator. I mean, brushless motors have been around for a long time, but from what we can see, we're the first ones to actually try it and be successful at it.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. So yeah, because I've talked to old guys in the industry and asked, have you ever heard anybody using a brushless motor? First of all, they looked at me weird, like, what is a brushless motor? So then I know, with that being said, I know that they've never heard of one.
Yeah.
So this is basically our DC line. It starts off with our SL45, which is a small gate operator that can handle gates up to 800 pounds, 30 feet. This is just something, a little operator that for a homeowner that basically wants to keep their dogs in, because it has a planetary gearbox. You're able to push it open, but just far enough. And once it comes off the closed limit switch, it'll close right back. So if for high security areas or somewhere you want to keep it secure, I don't recommend this one. This is strictly residential. Our SL90, this has been our most popular gate operator for the cost. For a gate operator that can handle 1,600 pounds, 50 feet with a pedal release, battery backup, solar ready. So this one is about $1,350 or almost $1,400 dealer cost. So it's down there, less money than our competitors. That if you're comparing it from apples to apples, this is going to be a lot less expensive. It does 220, 110, solar ready, 24 volts. You can use 12 and 24 volt solar panels on all our DC operators. So you don't have to use a 12 volt. You can go with a 24 also. And the regulator that's on the board already built in, it's called a maximum power point regulator, which means you can do up to an 80 watt panel, 1 amp solar panel. But if you do go solar, we'll change it out to the solar at no extra charge, and we'll put 2 14 amp batteries in there for you.
I was going to touch on that later, but since we're talking about it now, so for the sales team at Gates and Controls, so if you order, just like Luis just said, if you order any DC operator solar from us, what we do is we remove the power supply, so your transformer, your EMI board, your rectifier, and we upgrade the batteries to 2 14 amp hour batteries. When you pair a solar operator setup like that with a 40 watt, 24 volt panel, and just your accessories, your photo eye, your receiver, basic accessories, that's good for up to 10 cycles. So that's important to note when you're selling a solar operator. If you have a job application where there's more cycles, maybe they have some loops or some different accessories, that's when you wanna call us here and we can tell you what package to sell. But just solar setup basic, 10 cycles a day with the 40-watt panel.
Did you say 10 cycles a day with the 40-watt? Okay, got it. Can you add bigger batteries, presumably in another box?
Absolutely, it just won't fit in the operator. So
Right.
that's why we also sell our Toro our enclosure box and the APS enclosure box to house the larger batteries.
Got it.
And then this is our SO100 DC. This is our first DC we made. This can handle 2,000 feet. Oh, sorry, 2,000 pounds, 50 feet. Same type of board as the 90. Just as this one has a stronger motor and a gearbox. And that one shows the old loop rack. So in the new one, it'll have the red loop rack. And then this is our 150 DC, used a lot in Southern California, especially where we're in the cities that we're physically in right now. You're in Corona, I'm in Fontana. A lot of warehouses, a lot of Amazon warehouses. So if I don't know, Richard, where you flew into, but you probably see all those warehouses overhead on the plane. So this one is used on a lot of warehouses. This can do gates up to 4,000 pounds on our 1 horsepower, 60 feet. It does have an internal clutch on it. And also in some other slides, I'll show you that all our operators have, you can either do post or pad mounts. And we have the basis for those too. And then this is our 175. This is our big gate operator that can handle up to gates up to 8,000 pounds. It is a different motor. So if you notice that the board is gold, because the motor is a 36 volt DC. Our other operators are all 24 volts. So it can take that red board. But this one being a 36 volt motor, it's equivalent to a 3 horsepower motor. So you can do 8,000 pounds at 12 feet per second, or you can do 3,000 pounds at 24 inches per second. So we changed the gearing on it to be able to do that type of speed. And you can do a gates up to 100 feet. So it's an all steel cover. So it does look very beefy and industrial. It is belt driven, but the reason why we use belts on some of our operators and some direct drive is because of the instant reverse on when the gate has to go back, especially on swingers sometimes. If you do have a direct drive, it'll cause a lot of wear and tear in between the coupling between the gearbox and the motor. So that's why we use sometimes chain or belts.
So, pardon my ignorance, but the foot pedal release seems like a security issue for somebody who can get onto the inside of a gate just to push that. Is that locked in some way?
Yeah, you know, you can it's lockable. You can put a padlock on there, and all of our foot pedals have a padlock there, a hole, so you can put a padlock there for that reason itself.
Yeah, do you see the little hole right behind the round part?
Okay, there's one here.
That's a padlock provision. So you
I
could put, and so what I would recommend, usually it's in larger facilities where instead of looking for a key, is just to put a combination lock on there. So the people that need to have access to it can, and that way you can't push it down. But all the foot pedals do have that provision.
Got it.
This is our own actuator. We put a lot of design efforts into it, made it to where our specifications, we were able to make it. A lot of the parts that what takes time is making all the parts to put it together. So we have in our office or in our shop a 3D printer. So we're able to 3D print everything, test it, mold it, and make it right away. So that's what takes the most time. So we do not rely on any foreign countries or able to or overseas to bring this product in. So we have it now in stock.
When you say it's new, Luis, when was it introduced?
In 2019, but we've been testing it in the beginning of the last part of 2019, making sure it was working correctly. We put it in different parts of the country, and the reason that one of the benefits of having it made in-house, we can repair it in-house.
Yeah, 5-6 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And what are the big changes between the old and the new?
Well, the change is that the limit switch assembly now is on top instead of on the bottom. So making it easier on dealers to adjust the limits. They don't have to bend on their knees to underneath the operator to adjust the limits and to see if they're on the open or on the close. Now everything's on top. So if you notice on the picture, you see it is mechanical limit switches. So there's no voltage in the limit switches, which a lot of manufacturers are having a lot of issues with having plus or minus 5 volts in the limit switch wires in assembly, which was causing a lot of interference with the board and the way the readers were reading the open and the close. So we dried them out, no voltage. So it's just basically, so yeah, and then it has a manual key release for easy access for the homeowner. You can do gates up to 8 feet, 1,600 pounds. So it's a beefy operator,
Yeah.
strong. It has a 20-inch, I think a 22-inch stroke. So you can do up to maybe 105, 110 degrees.
And
So
this machine uses which controller?
it uses this one right here, the new
This is
Toro Board.
This is a different controller. than
Yeah,
the-
it's a little
than
bit
the-
different from the DCs. This one does have more of functions. It does have an LCD display where you can access, the dealer can access it, use, you can have full control of the speed of the motor and the torque. It has a built-in 7-day timer, up to 10 events. That's something nice. And it also has a event tracker. It'll keep track of your last 25 events to let you know if anything failed or anything happened. And it also has our maximum power point tracking regulator, which if you look that up, it's a more sophisticated regulator than your your other regulator that you have for solar. So this is an electronic or microprocessor driven solar controller.
And when you say more sophisticated, basically it is going to charge the batteries in ways that extend the life of the battery, right?
Yes, yes. So yeah, this came from another industry, but we implemented it for us on our industry.
Okay, so this board is called the Toro Board. If somebody was
Yeah.
ordering it, it would be called the Toro Board. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, like our other boards, it's 110, or 220, or 24 volts, and the same type of solar capabilities as our other operators. And this is our Swinger 300 DC. We had just added like a year ago an access door. For many years, we didn't have an access door on our Swinger. Now we have a full, from top to bottom access door. It started off as a stainless steel. Now it's a painted matte gray. We were finding out that with fingerprints and with other, the access door was being easily scratched. And so the homeowner, once the job was done, was like, hey, what happened to my door? You guys look like you guys beat it up. But now it's a nice matte finish, gray. So it looks nicer than the stainless steel. So we also have this Swinger available on uphill arms, and also any of the dealers that have want to know how to do an uphill gate without having to offset the gate in any way. Call the office, talk to Lisa. She'll give you the formula for your dealer to have to show the degrees that they need to have to be off. So they only have to use pillow block bearings to offset the gate. And you don't have until the gate won't kick out. This is so you keep the integrity of the gate perpendicular with the floor, and it saves a lot of wear and tear on the operator itself. This is one of our newest operators. This is our SW325 DC. It is an underarm Swinger. Many of you guys are very familiar with something like this from another manufacturer. So this one has picked up a lot of steam with being it on the West Coast. Guys are liking to use this one because it gets lower to the ground. It blends in very well with the landscape of the house. And it attaches to the gate, frame wise. It doesn't attach to in the middle of the gate. It doesn't mess up any of your ornamental iron that they have or scrolls. So it doesn't mess up that integrity of that looking of the gate. So this one has been very, very, very popular. It does gates up to 2,200 pounds, 22 feet. It is a direct drive gearbox to motor, and it does have a clutch on there. And with it's our electronics on all our Swingers. If you notice on other manufacturers, when a Swinger is closing, gets an input like a safety, it automatically reopens and the whole gate shakes, the gearbox shakes. But with All-O-Matic, what we do is we stop the operator for 1 second, let everything collect itself, then reopen, which saves a lot of wear and tear on gearboxes, on the arm, and on the operator itself. So that's one of the features that we offer on our swingers. This is our big boy. This is our SW375. This is our big operator. It's huge. It's probably the size of the table where I'm sitting at right now. It does have a big clutch. The wrench, we make the wrench for you to adjust that clutch. You got to stand like 2 feet behind it and adjust that clutch. It is the same motor that's been used on our 175. It is a 36-volt motor. It can handle gates up to 5,000 pounds, 30 feet. This is what you would use when you do have a high wind area or a very, very heavy gate. So, and all our big operators are all fully UL. So we just implemented these about a year ago through UL, because a few years ago we were selling just a little bit. Now it's become a very popular operator. So now it's
give us an idea, Luis, of how big is that? What kind of a footprint is that? It's hard to see in the picture.
Lisa, what's the footprint on that operator?
You're probably looking at about like 3.5 to 4 feet long, and then a good 18 to 24 wide, and height is about 24 to 30 inches.
Wow.
The operator itself, it takes like 3 people to pick it up. I think the
It's
operator
huge.
is like 400 or 500 pounds.
Oh,
And again, that wrench that Luis is talking about is 4 foot long by itself, so you can imagine.
got it.
Yeah.
And this has got 3 14-amp-hour batteries.
Yeah, 3 of them.
And what kind of cycle do you get after power loss?
Yeah.
I say about 8 to 10 cycles, and that means an open and a close. Each cycle is an open and a close. That's how we measure cycles.
And clearly, this is not really dedicated. This really doesn't have very many solar applications.
No, but I have seen guys use 150 solar, a big 150. So out in Phoenix, it's still running completely solar.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this is our overhead. This is something pretty much on the West Coast. This is for single gate opener. And we do have the hardware that you would use the overhead. This is also a battery backup brushless DC. So very good because it has soft start, soft stop. It's very forgiving on the overhead hardware. So your gates don't bang, and the resident on top in the apartment building doesn't have to worry about it making so much noise. So it doesn't cause any slamming. So like on our AC machines, because of the nature of the AC motor, if you don't put the hardware in correctly, the gate will slam and make too much noise. But with the DC, it's a lot more forgiving on the slamming because they have the soft start, soft stop. And then just real quickly, everything that we have in DC, we do have an AC brother to it. So this is our AC 100 AC. All our DC sliders or all our operators are all fully 2018. All our operators use a loop rack except the SL45. All our DC operators are they're battery backup. They're not battery run. So if the batteries are removed from the operator will still run on AC power. You put power to it. So the batteries are only there for battery backup. Once again, we do offer free repairs on all our DC and our AC operators. And Lisa spoke about our advanced replacement. Most of our operators will have a 5-year commercial, 7-year warranty, pretty much as industry standard. Our 175s and 375s do have a 3-year commercial warranty. And our Toro Prime has 3 commercial and 4-year residential. And all our sliders carry nickel-plated chain. So we're UL 325 up to the 7th edition. That's the max right now. We don't know if it's going to change. So there is a discussion on for another edition, but we haven't had any feedback on that. Also, accessories, like I want to talk about. We have like overhead hardware accessories. We have chain, guide rollers, steel and plastic wheels, and the wheel boxes, padlock and fire boxes. There is a firebox or a lock switch that is only used in San Diego. We made that switch because Richard in your San Diego office told us about that years ago. So that's why we still make it for the San Diego PG&E for the fire. And we do have pipe stands and for most of our slide gates and swing gates. I'll go over them real quick with you guys. This is our overhead hardware. We have them from different sizes. I don't think, Richard, you've ever seen these, but these will handle, single leaf gates for underground parking. And we have different springs for different size gates and because of the weight changes and all the hardware. And we do sell all the hardware. Most of your dealers will probably just need a track roller or some kind of bracket. We do sell everything by piece. You don't have to buy a kit and only use one part of it and then have the rest, just go to waste. We do have everything parts available, and there's a cut sheet that shows all the parts numbers for every single thing. And chain. So we sell black chain, nickel chain, and we also still carry a stainless steel, and we also carry a new chain that is rust free. We call it RF. So it's a more expensive than nickel, less expensive than stainless steel. So I am sending, I forgot to tell Lisa, but we're gonna send a 10-foot roll to Gates and Controls in Seattle to test it. Because as if I understand, you guys do sell some stainless steel chain in Seattle because of all the rain.
So come back for a second. I didn't quite get that. The chain is called an RF or an RP?
RF, rust free. So
Rust free, gotcha.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, and then we'll also carry guide rollers. Here are the different sizes of guide rollers that we carry with or without bearing. It comes with a bracket, and we also we do have a UL version, Lisa, available now.
Right, we have a covered guide roller.
Yeah.
The one that's covered on 3 sides.
Yeah, which makes it UL.
Right, 6-inch only.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And then here's examples of all the steel wheels that we carry. We're pretty competitive on price. So we were low on inventory on 4-inch. Now we got them in. So and also the fire boxes. We have plenty of those. We do sell a pad, a drop box type of chain drop box, which is very popular and still required in the state of Texas. So, but we do have the San Diego firebox, and we do have our firebox pad or the knock style. So I know you guys carry some of those. I noticed you guys buy them from other manufacturers, but we're very competitive on price. So I'll get you pricing on that.
Excellent.
And we do have the power inverter. The APS 1000, the 2000, and we have the 4000 now. So and these are ready to go, and we have plenty in stock. And our tandem kit, which is very popular now. We can do 2 gates, push back on 2 gates, or we can even do a triple tandem, which you would use 2 tandem kits. So a lot of your dealers are very familiar with this, and we do sell quite a bit of these to many of your branches. We over the years we have become the experts in tandem gates, so we do have expertise on this. So when your dealers do come across a job like this, we'll help them on the phone on how to do it.
So I'm a little bit confused here. I understand the term dual gates. I've never heard the term tandem gates before. What do you mean by that?
When you have a 20-foot opening,
Yeah.
Driveway, but you only got 10 feet to roll the gate back. So what you do is you cut that gate into 2 10-footers, and so one will pick up the other gate, and then put it back in the gate.
Oh, gotcha.
Fit into a 10-foot pocket. And the thing is, maybe people think it's easy to do, but you have to gear the operator to handle those 2 gates, because if you don't gear the operator, the first gate is going to run twice as fast as the second gate, just by the sheer gearing between the chain. So you have to slow down the operator so that the first gate will match the second gate speed-wise. So when the
So-
gate's going close, you're not gonna kill somebody when it runs into a car or a person.
Yeah. So clarifying just a little bit, you're not manufacturing the gate.
No, we're only manufacturing the
So for a tandem gate, you're gonna use a traditional, probably V-track gate, but there's gonna be
Yeah.
two tracks next to each other. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And then this is the hardware to keep the gate.
Panels that, slide in front of each other, this, what he's showing here on the left, that's the hardware in order to do that. So we sell the hardware, to
Yeah.
make the two panels slide in front of each other.
Got it. So do you have any video of a tandem gate?
I do.
Can
I'll
you
send it.
send me, please, a video of a tandem gate? Because I'm gonna need to express this in a way that people can kind of quickly understand it without getting it just through words.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Excellent.
Yeah. Also, we have goosenecks available. The 72-inch gooseneck has a slot on the back of it. So when guys bring their conduit into the gooseneck, it doesn't cut the conduit. So there's a slit, so you can bring it in nice and swiftly into the pipe. We had it available in a 42-inch and a 72-inch with it's powder coated, very good quality, and we're, like I said, we're very competitive on pricing. So I know you guys buy those from another manufacturer, but we do have them available to you. And we do have hinges, gates of the 3,000 pounds or 5,000 pounds, made in house with dessert fittings. So a lot of guys like the dessert fitting to grease them up. And it does have a ball bearing and a copper, brass oil filled fitting in there. So that they're very long lasting hinges. Some of the miscellaneous parts that we do carry for our gate operators are lock kits for our 90, our 100 and 150. You can add a padlock kit, so guys, so you won't be able to remove the covers. And, you know, here in the part of LA, there's some parts where you do want to keep the covers locked. We do offer rack and pinion operators. I know some dealers have been asking if we do offer rack and pinion. Rack and pinion is available for the 45, the 90, the 100, and the 150 cover. I mean, DC operator with the metal cover. And the racks are 3 feet, 3 inch in length. And we do offer the pinion to it too, also. All you gotta do is buy the rack. So you want in the conversion. And there's a cost for the to modify the operators into a rack and pinion. That's on our price list also. And we also offer chain idler kits for, you know, rear mount, plastic rear mount kits, metal rear. We like to recommend a steel idler for rear mount operators, because just the plastic ones, you know, the chain just slides on that idler. But with the chain, you get better grip on pulling the gate back, so it's a lot better for the operator. And we do also offer replacement motors for, you know, old operators from back in the day, AC, also 1 horsepower with dual motors, old replacement motors for elites that were made, you know, back in the 90s. There's some of those operators are still running, and if you need a motor for them, we still have motors for repairs. This is some examples of some of our stands and pipe stands that we have available. This is for a 325 or 150 pipe stand. Texas and a lot of oil rig areas, they like to put stuff on pipes back east to get them out of the snow level. So we have these available also for dealers that want something to get them off the ground.
The 150 stand that you've got there, I presume that you could put batteries in there too, right?
Yeah. So people do that. And there's a little access door on the side too.
Yep.
And then these are some of, this is a stand that we came up with to, if you want to retrofit a 300 with a SW200, an old elite operator, old model, to, you know, to bring it up. High Security made their operator at the same level as a CSW. We did it. You can add this onto it, so it's an easy retrofit. So first of all, thank you everybody, whoever's going to listen to this, for joining us and participating in this training. We hope to be there for anything you guys need. We've been dealing with Gates controls back when Danny Klein had Masters. So when Danny was there, he introduced us to Gates controls when he was bought out by Gates controls, and so that's how we got into Gates controls. So thank you so much.
I'm going to stop you because I don't want you to say goodbye yet.
No. Just want to thank everybody, and anything we can do to help you guys better your sales, better your ability to offer more information to your customers. Let us know. We're only a phone call away.
This is a big help. This is really a big help, and I'm sure that you'll develop a few more relationships with some of our staff as a result of this work that we're going to be doing this next month. I want you to bottom line a little bit. You've done a really good job, an overview of the product line that you've got, which is really quite extensive, both on the operator side, the overhead side, which we're really not doing much in at this point, and then also on the accessories. I think it's going to be it's going to open some people's eyes about how and when and whether we should be offering some of these products in our branches. But bottom line for a second, that it's a competitive marketplace out there, particularly for gate operators, swingers, sliders, across the board, the commercial, the heavy duty industrial, which you've also got some products in, and of course the linear actuators. Why should a dealer, bottom line, why should a dealer be considering an All-O-Matic when they could be putting in a Liftmaster, a high security, a Door King, a Maximum, a Ram set? What really makes you stand out?
One thing that John always told me is that always be sensitive to the dealer's needs. Put yourself in the dealer's position. When he's being, asked from a homeowner, why is this not working? So we strive to be sensitive to the dealer's needs, make the operator as serviceable and dependable so that the homeowner and the dealer is comfortable using our operators. That's why our operators are so simple. They don't look, when you turn one on, they're not lighting up like Christmas trees. It's a basic operator. 6 months down the road, when an operator is installed, it's going to be full of cobwebs, full of leaves, dust, dirt. But with just blow it out, and you're back to normal. So we want to make the parts that will stand that type of beating. We put our tech support should go along with the needs of the dealer, to be sensitive to what they're doing, to know exactly how to help them out and offer a solution. We put ourselves in many situations where we custom made things for dealers to help them out. We try to go that extra mile. So that's why we think we're an advantage. And that's why we're always trying to innovate with the brushless, other things that we're coming out with. And like John says, always put the dealer first.
You mentioned John, and I don't think you mentioned him before. This is the owner of the company, right?
He's the owner of the company. Yeah, once in a while.
His last name is?
Williams.
Okay. Go ahead.
And you'll get him on the phone once in a while. And so if any of your techs or one of your guys that just talk to John, they'll get an earful of the gate operator history and why we're the best.
I'm going to piggyback off of Luis's comment there, because one thing that we all alluded to earlier with our advanced replacement and our repair and return policy is one thing to know about All-O-Matic is we do not have queues here. So when you call, rest assured that somebody is going to pick up within 2 to 3 rings. You're not going to wait in a queue. So oftentimes we'll get calls from dealers that are on their way to a job, and they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting to talk to somebody so quickly. So that's a big, big time benefit. I mean, time is money. So it's very important that you have a manufacturer that supports that. Again, whoever answers the phone can most of the time help you on anything tech. Myself, I have on the field experience. So a lot of us do have that as well. So it's not just, we're not reading from a book. We're not doing anything like that. We know what we're talking about. And then I made some notes that I'm just going to talk about really quickly. All of the accessories that Luis mentioned, we are working on a pamphlet, kind of a little catalog to give to distributors so that you know all of the accessories that we offer. Again, one of the things that for us, this was more sales-based for gates and controls. However, we have a plethora of resources. So anything from the letters to front mount tandem installations to the swing gate layouts. I have pre-recorded videos for specific things. If anybody at Gates and Controls has a company or a dealer that is really, really interested in meeting with Luis or myself and getting more hands-on training, it would be very helpful to identify them to us so that we can give them a call. We can do it this way via Zoom. I have the pre-recorded videos. I've also had dealers come to the warehouse and sit with me for a couple hours and we do some online training. So these are the kinds of things that just communication with you guys we are open and willing to do. One thing, a couple of notes that I made, because I know you guys are the first face that a dealer sees, and they're the ones that ask you the question of what operator should I use. So earlier, Richard asked, when would you use AC versus DC? So DC benefits, I know it's a little bit expensive. It's an investment though. So if you got to ask them the question, what do you want your gate to do in the event of a power failure? How do you want to work this? The DC operator is going to be quieter, more efficient. If you ever have a customer that has high traffic, uphill, high cycle kind of situation, heavy gate, DC automatically. A lot of times people think that putting like a 150 AC 1 horsepower is better than putting a 0.5 horsepower DC, and that would not be the case. And if anybody on the Gates and Controls staff has any questions on what operator should we bid, please give us a call in the office. Send us an email. Luis, myself, anybody here can kind of help with that. And then I talked about the accessory catalog. So we're working on revamping the brochures and modernizing everything, revamping the website. So all of that is coming in 2022. And then I did want to talk about the promo. I'm hoping this is a good place to do it.
Absolutely.
So earlier in the earlier slides, Luis showed the new loop rack. So it's our exclusive loop rack, and the Prime BD1 is the only loop detector that currently works with that. As you guys can understand, once that gets out, people kind of see it. We may have other manufacturers that start making those. But for right now, in October 2021, only the Prime BD1 works with it. And so what we've done is operators are labeled with a bright yellow sticker that says this operator is equipped with a loop rack, and you have to use the Prime BD1 for it to work if you're going to install loop detectors. There are 3 or 4 operators that do not include it, so I do want you to be aware of this. So the SL45 does not include one. The SL100 AC without the foot pedal does not include one. SW300 AC does not include one, and the overhead 200 AC does not include one. So 4 operators that do not include the loop rack.
What was the
So
overhead
what
that
we'd
you
like
don't?
to do, I'm sorry?
What was the overhead that you mentioned? I didn't quite get that.
Sure, OH200 AC.
Got it.
Only the AC one does not include it. So Luis and I kind of talked around and bounced ideas, and I think for the month of November with you guys, what we'd like to do is, if they purchase one of those operators with the exclusion of the 4, I mean, they could take advantage of the promotion. I'm okay with that for a future, is offer them the Prime BD1 at 50% off.
I'm having a hard time hearing you. Would you say that a little bit slower?
Sure. So the Prime for our month, when they purchase one of our operators, offer the Prime BD1 loop detector at half off.
Okay. Got it.
And I have already sent to all the branches as of Friday. I sent kind of packages with little giveaways, brochure packets, things like that to put on that table. So they should
Excellent.
be receiving if they haven't already.
Great. Excellent. So again, trying to give us and administration some support here. What's your perspective about where you have on the West Coast, given where we have our branches, where are your strengths in sales and where are your weaknesses?
Well, we're pretty popular down south in Southern California, and then Central California. I think we need to work more with the branches up in Portland and Seattle. I know the Seattle office is right next door to High Security, and they have a great relationship. But I've been working.
Trust me, that has nothing to do with what we sell. But go ahead. No,
But
seriously.
I know Sean had a great relationship over there before with what was the owner's name before?
Brian Denault.
Yeah. So Brian, consulted a lot with Sean, which is fine, which is normal. But I think what weakness that we did have before was our marketing, and but now with Lisa on board, I think that weakness that we had is now one of our strengths that we're being, because our website is a lot better. Our communication with our customers as far as participating in marketing things is our strength now. Maybe our weakness is our trying to be able to be everywhere at the same time. It's kind of hard, but with our sales staff being more stronger and more available, we've been able to to be in more places, and we've seen our sales grow tremendously in the last few years. So
Okay.
I think our weakness is probably
I was really talking about our weaknesses. Where
Oh, no,
is
you're
it-
well.
where is it
I'm
that
sorry.
we need to be? Where is it that we need to be putting some more resources and doing some more unique things to get more people even aware of All-O-Matic strengths?
Well, I'm working a lot more with your sales team. I know I don't know who covers where. I know you have Teresa covering a certain area, Brett covering another area. I think Edward goes out a few days a week in his area. I know Chuck covers all of Seattle, and then Eric does a little bit in Portland. But I work together with all those guys, and they call me up all the time. When a customer has a problem, or either have a job coming up where they can use an All-O-Matic. So I have great communication with all the guys, which I like. Brett is always concerned about making sure the customer's happy during the whole process. So he's very detailed oriented. So I like the way Brett works. And also Edward. Edward's very, very good.
And we're getting a lot more inter-branch communication. So the strengths of one branch, we're trying to leverage into the other branches, where we've got somebody who is very, very knowledgeable about the All-O-Matic product line, and getting the other branches. This is a great opportunity for us to strengthen that, getting the other branches to know that when they get a question about the All-O-Matic, or when they think that the All-O-Matic product should be a product that they offer to a customer who's got a particular specific need on a site, they can get in touch with a Brett, or they can get in touch with an Edward or a Tony down in San Diego. It's just they're as close as the telephone lines. I want to thank Lisa for all of that information that you just gave. That was really phenomenal. But I also want to say that this month-long event, it does a bunch of different things. You've seen it in writing, but I want to reinforce it a little bit. It really is, in a way for you to look at it, is that you basically get almost all of our sales and marketing resources for the course of a 30-day period. And sometimes, depending upon how you want to do this, longer than that. Sometimes it will last into for maybe a month or 2 months or 3 months after that. It depends on how you want to look at it. Some of the companies that we've worked with for the last year, Cellgate, for instance, they had a 3-month promotion going on that basically for every company that we showed, you're shaking your head, you probably heard this you saw this in the email. For every company that we showed, made a presentation for Cellgate, they were thrown, their name and number was thrown into a hat. And at the end of the 3-month period of time, they gave away 4 big TVs. That big TV, forget the fact that it was a big TV, but that was an opportunity for us to basically say, hey, AGS, we want to come by and show you the Cellgate product and make a presentation to 2 or 3 of your people, many, many more if you'd like. And if you'll do that, we'll throw everybody who comes to that event into the hat, and they're going to get an offer for, they get party to the drawing. We sent, I think we gave away actually 5 30 or 30 or 43-inch TVs. That was very, very helpful. The event itself will bring in, depending upon the branch that we've got, anywhere from 3 people to sometimes as many as close to 20 people, depending upon, what the interest is and how we, how good a job we do of promoting it. But the effort before that event happens in a given branch, and the event and the efforts that we have after the branch are far more important, because basically this webinar is going to get them on the playing field. They'll start to get a sense of, hey, I can push this. I didn't know that operator did that, etc. And then they make presentations either at the branch or at the dealer's location. We start a process. We plant a lot of seeds during this period of time. Those seeds germinate over the next 3, 6, sometimes 12 months. So don't just look at what we're doing here as being a one-shot, one horse pony or one whatever. I'm using my wrong metaphor. A one pony circus. The degree to which we can work closely together during this course of this month, not just me, clearly I'm the least important person other than helping with logistics, but with each one of the branches. You'll have a branch event at Corona. You'll have a branch event at each one of the, at every one of the branches, whether you're there or not. If you are attending that branch, I would really recommend you spend at least one day, maybe sometimes 2 days at the branch, having had conversations with the branch personnel to see if we can go out either on your own or with, if we've got that kind of personnel availability, with one of our salespeople, with a Brett, with an Edward, with a Tony, whomever it was, or Teresa, and canvas 3 or 4 or 5 different companies that we want to make that presentation to. You know that works. That one-on-one contact, that tire kicking opportunity that the guys get, the hard questions that they can ask you in the privacy of their office instead of in a public way. That makes a big, big, big difference. My objective is to make All-O-Matic sing during the course of this month. My secondary objective, maybe my primary objective, is to get every one of our branches on the step so that they have the confidence through the course of the next few months, if not years, to represent your product when the opportunity arises, not trying to, it doesn't work that we put somebody's arm behind their back and they twist, we twist their arm and try to get them to change from one operator to another. It does work when they find out a little bit about a machine, or excuse me, a site that has got specific circumstances, very, very heavy gate, heavy swing gate, where we could be pushing the heavy swing gate that you offer, that first of all, that they're aware of it. And second of all, they feel confident enough to bring it up. And then extend the conversation to you, Luis, or you, Lisa, so that we expand what we can do in that. Whether or not we get that, we will have educated that dealer as well as our staff member. That is crucial to us. That makes us a much better non-just box moving distributor, which is certainly what the reputation that we have in our market. The other thing is, be thinking about ways that you can maximize this. If one of the questions that I would be asking myself was, look, if I've got access to Brett, or I got access to Lexi in Spokane, what could I do that doesn't cost me a lot of money, not huge resource draw, but what could I do to make her more successful this month? Not just communicating with them and asking the general questions, but who specifically in your market do you think might be ready to be looking at another operator? And then opening the door for you, Luis, so that you can either have a phone call if you're not going to make it to Spokane, which I expect you might not be doing, but if you do make it to Spokane, actually placing a call to them, making a phone call and making yeah,
because I haven't been down there, but I am, like, my last trip to not last week, to the Northwest. I got some stuff going already with Chuck and Eric already.
Excellent.
We're doing follow-ups right now, where we're looking to maybe do a training next month at Automated. So we're working on that. So we got a lot of stuff going, and I am working with a lot of other dealers that I met with that are going to try our product out.
Excellent. I would say I have not been very familiar with the All-O-Matic product line. My bad. Okay, I'm in distribution now. I'm not in manufacturing. It's very, very important for me to know what it is that you guys are offering and what we're selling for you. I'm very impressed with the breadth of your product line and with some of the specific products that you've got that fit niches in the marketplace where others are not going to be as successful. Those are the messages that we need to get our branch to our branches, and we need to make it powerful so that, again, that lasts for a period of time. Any other questions that you have or things you want to add to the webinar?
No, I'm good. I think we covered everything. Like I said,
Yeah,
we're go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, you hit it. Earlier when you asked Luis, what can we do? It's a partnership and it's all about education. So, like I said, we have a lot of resources internally here. Please feel free to reach out, whether it's to myself or to Luis. Why we did the pre-recorded is for the same reason why we're recording this one, right? Is that people are limited on time during the day. So what this allows them to do is watch it on their own time, on their own schedule, write down their questions, get back with me or Luis and so forth. So I think a lot of it is that we're just not known and the staff isn't educated. So I'm hoping that this does that and this opens the communication for us to do so.
It'll open some doors, Lisa, and it'll prepare the market for hopefully follow-up that we can do over the next few months. So if you're willing, by the way, think about this for a little bit. If you're willing, by the way, to offer the loop rack option or the detector option for a longer period of time, that would be helpful. Because again, you know that it takes people time sometimes to make decisions like this, and they may not have a project right now that they're going to buy it for. They're not going to put it in inventory in the meantime. So let us know what you're willing to do, and we'll keep our sales.
I'll tell you right now, I'm willing to do it to the end of the year, and then we can check in at the end of the year and see if we want to run it again or go. But yeah, definitely at least to the end of the year.
Excellent.
And then we'll reevaluate. Yeah.
Excellent. Listen, I'm really pleased with what you brought to bear here. Lisa, I'm really pleased with the fact that you got that All-O-Matic has got somebody with the kind of experience that you've got, and the ability to just throw it out there, you know, with the names of the products, you know, where they fit, all the information that you've delivered today. That will make a big difference. How accessible are you, Lisa, to somebody who has a question that maybe Luis is, you know, on the plane and can't solve right away?
Oh, absolutely. I'm here in the office, so they can reach me there. You have my email. You can give that out by all means. And yeah, when Luis knows he's traveling, he will forward me the email, so you can copy both of us. One of us will answer for sure. But I'm at the office. Ask for me by name. They'll pass you to me for sure.
Okay. One other thing I thought of earlier, let me ask it now. People love war stories. I'm going to cut this part of it out, but people love war stories. It makes it real for them. You talked about your accessibility, your absolute commitment to dealers to make it simple, to solve their problems, to be accessible. Give us a situation sometime in the last, some situation that you've got where, oh my God, all hell broke loose. You know, Gates and Controls or some other distributor tried to solve the problem for this company. You know, it was intractable. We couldn't figure it out. And then you couldn't figure it out the first couple of, you know, telephone calls that you made. And then after whatever, you know, moving of mountains that you did, you finally nailed it. You figured out there was this blank RF interference, whatever it might have been. And then you tried as best you could to, you know, I'm going to say, make the dealer whole, to give the dealer a sense that they are going to be protected anytime these kinds of things, situations come up. Can you give us a situation like that?
I don't know if Lisa remembers, but I know just recently, Edward, Sean, Fortino, and EMX were all dealing with one situation with a dealer. I don't know the details of what happened, but all I know is that eventually EMX had to change some components on their photo wire or whatever it was, and we finally figured it out. But it was a long process. I don't know what the details were, but Fortino asked me, "Hey, is Sean happy with with all the turnout. When I talked to Sean, he goes, yeah, everything turned out great. The dealer's happy. But it was something that everybody was pulling their hairs out for a while.
Lisa, you
I
were
don't know if
involved.
I think Lisa, no, I wasn't. I know Lisa knew about
So
it.
that specific case was the EMX IRB, I believe it was an MON, the through beam one. So it started with, okay, well, maybe they have a connection for the earth ground, but it's not grounded, so let's try that. And then it came working with them that it's actually a component change. Same things happened with transmitter solutions where we've had an edge kit where the relay wasn't switching quick enough, and it came to us, we communicated with Transmitter Solutions, and we got that ironed out. EMX, in the EMX situation, it came where they were flexible enough to change the stock if you had one going on an All-O-Matic, so you just had to call them and kind of get an RMA going. The specific situations that came to my mind, one, we talked about it, the APS 4000, where everybody thought that the 2000 was going to handle a commercial door operator, and it doesn't. So what do we have to do? We want to solve that problem. So Fortino gets together a larger one that is going to do that. Now, in that specific case, it may have even been Gates and Controls in Sacramento. We, as a manufacturer, had to do the right thing. They were already installed. Of course, we're going to work with them to take them back and get them the right one. So little things like that. Another little kind of tech thing, we've had some issues or some where a door keying 1812, but it could be a hardwired keypad or a telephone entry system would hold the gate open, but there's no indication of the gate being held open by something. And so in working with Dan is the one that figured this one out. We get one call, we kind of start thinking things, we think it's one thing, and then as more and more calls come, what happens is some noise builds up on the relays from the entry system to our board. So it's strong enough to hold open the gate, but not strong enough to turn the light on our board. So solution to that, yes, you can disconnect it, discharge it, and put it back in, but in a few months, it's gonna happen the same thing. So in working with that and testing and things like that, putting an isolated cube relay on the entry system relay eliminates that problem. So it solves the problem for one person, but then you have a handful, and they'll think of other situations where they're having the same exact thing, and then that solves the problem. So little things like that, custom things like Luis alluded to earlier, we've done a lot of that. So, but those are just specific examples that I can think of.
So it sounds like you've got a team approach to a problem that you escalate, and that team, both at Gates and Controls, you guys, possibly another vendor, basically get together and do that in a pretty quick fashion, as much as you possibly can, to narrow down what the source issue is and then solve it, and then keep the dealer involved in that process. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So that is crucial, absolutely crucial. Listen, I want to thank you.
I will mention one other thing that just came into my mind since we're talking about that. Luis alluded to dealer feedback, which is imperative in this industry. We are not out there all the time. So even with our new Toro Prime, we've had some firmware updates coming from the feedback that we've gotten from dealers. So just have it be known, if any dealer has kind of an issue or a problem, or, can it do this? Would this make it better? Know that we are listening. It doesn't always pan out, right? But we do our best to either give a reason why it won't pan out, or kind of take it and use it in a future kind of thing. So
I presume
feedback is crucial.
that's great, Lisa. I presume that I'm on your list of people that when you do a firmware update, that I get that information, because I'm the one who's going to be communicating that back. Okay. Luis, Lisa, thank you so much.
Thank you, Richard.
I think we got a
Yeah,
great
no problem.
partnership,
Thank
and I
you.
think we can make it better.